Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be dealing with our view right here. Right, so in the previous lesson we've done this. I've just comment them out actually. So as we're going to test this in a second. Right, so this is what we've done in the previous lesson. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to be dealing with our view right here. Right, so this is the part the users see. Right, so what I've done is I just give it some Tailwind styling. So if you want to copy and paste them, just add them into your own. Right, so I just give it some classes, Tailwind classes, text, grade, transition, duration, background, red, rounded, and on the hover that as well. All right, so there's a couple of things that we're going to do. Inside that div, we're going to create an anchor tag. And that anchor tag is basically going to be a delete. Right, you could have just made the button right here instead of an anchor tag. So you could have done this. Right, so that would have worked as well. I'm just going to do an anchor tag. Okay. Now, and inside that is going to be a delete. Let me just see how it looks like in the browser. So if we go there and if we refresh, you'll see we got our delete button right there. Right, so we're obviously going to add some styling. As you see, I don't like that cursor right there. I want it to be actually a pointer, so we're going to give it classes as well. But we're going to do some Livewire thingies inside here. All right, so let's go back. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to give it some styling. So let's give it a class just of cursor pointer. So when the user hover over it, they will actually just get a pointer. All right, so let's just do this, just give it some room to work with so that you guys can easily see. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a wire click event. So if the user clicks on this, so we want to call on the method confirm post thread deletion. Right, so let me just actually don't want it to format it and save it for now, as I want you guys to easily see things. Let me just give you some room there. So when we click on this button right here, so when we click on it, it's going to call this confirm thread deletion. All right, so just to make sure that we get actually the right button, let's go here and just tie and dump working in capitals with a smiley face so that we know that we are getting this button right here, this method inside our component. So let's go to the browser quickly. And if we refresh, and if we press the delete button right there, as you can see, we get that button right there. So all is well. Right, so let's go back to our code editor again. So we don't have to include this, so we know we're calling on this method. Right, so it works. Right, so the next part that we want to do is we just want to set the wire loading attribute, basically disable it. All right, so wire loading attribute, we just want to disable it. Enabled. Okay, so we got our click event, then we got our loading attribute disabled, and then we obviously edit our class right there. Okay, so then we added our delete in there. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add that XJet modal. All right, that modal is basically coming from the same modal. So if we go to our resources view, you remember we published the vendor folder. Now under Jetstream you will have a components. Then we will have this dialog modal right here, this one. So this is the modal that we're going to call, which have a title slot, a content slot, and a footer slot. The footer will be basically for our buttons that we're going to either cancel or delete. The other one is going to be for our content, and the other one will be for our title. All right. So the title will be delete thread. All right, and the content. All right. So let me just close this off. So if you want to find this, you can find it when we publish the vendor folder. It will be under components. We will have a danger button. That's the one we'll be using as well. And yeah, all right, so let's do that. So in this, we're going to actually bring in that modal. All right, so we're going to do XJet dialog and modal like this. Right, so we got our modal right there, and inside that modal we actually going to have a couple of slots. So X slot times, let's just copy it down 3 times because there's the title, content, and the buttons. All right. So in our first one, and our X dialog right there, what we want to do is we want to do a wire model. The wire model that is going to equal to confirming thread deletion. Right? This right here, this wire model, that is equal to the confirming, this one right here, confirming thread deletion. Now, when this is set to true, it will display the model. If it's set to false, the model will basically disappear. All right? Or not be displayed. Not actually disappear, but you guys know what I mean. All right, so the X name, this one is basically for the title. All right, and inside the title, we just want to put a title of delete thread, like this. All right, so that is for our title. The next slot is basically for our content, and this is also going to have a name. This is going to be for the content. Remember the slots right here. Let me just open it up. I like to show you guys, so it's the only way we all learn. So under our resources view components, let's go to the dialog modal again. You see, I'm just referencing this slot in our modal. Okay, so that's all I do. So the name is actually going to reference this right here. Okay, so the name of content, and inside this content, we're just going to ask the user, are they sure they want to delete the thread? Are you sure you? Okay, so let me do that with the exclamation mark just to kind of get their attention. The next thing is we want to add the footer. You guys remember the name, and then we just call on that footer. Okay, so the footer is this footer right here. So when we say name footer, that's actually what it's referencing. Right, in the footer, we're going to have 2 buttons. We're going to have a cancel button, and we're going to have the delete button. Right, so let's call on that XJet button. XJet secondary button. All right, so this is the secondary button. So if we go to our components again, you will see we have the secondary button right there. So that's the button that we're calling on. And the other one that we're doing is XJet danger button, like this. All right, so now we got our secondary button and we got our danger button. Now all of that is in your components. As you can see, we've got our danger button right there, and we've got our secondary. Where is it? Secondary button right there. All right, so now what we want to do in our secondary button is we just want to add some tags, and we just want to say the user want to cancel. Just cancel like this. And in our danger button, we just want to delete thread. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Now in our secondary button, we're just going to do a wire click event as well. So click. Now the click event, basically what we want to do is we want to toggle. Okay, we just want to toggle. We want to toggle the confirming post thread deletion, like this. Okay, so we want to toggle this right here as well. So if it was set to true, we basically just want to set it to false. Okay, and then we just want to disable the wire loading event. And attribute, and we just want to disable it. Okay, now with the wire danger button right here, now we're going to do something a little bit different. So wire click, we're also going to run a wire click, but we're going to call on the delete thread method. So this one right here, we're going to call on this one. Right, so when the delete thread, Okay, and then we just want to do a wire loading attribute, and we just want to set that to disabled as well. Probably don't have to do this, but yeah, I just want to do it. Right, so we got that set up. All right, so we got our wire loading, we got this also done, so we got our footer. So let me just click. Now then, you remember from the previous lesson, from when we did our thread controller, when we did the update. Okay, we want to authorize if the user is authorized to actually update this post or this thread. Okay, so in this case, we want to do the same thing. But the problem is, if you might have typed, you might get an error. But the thing is, we need to bring in a use authorized request up here. So we're going to do use authorized requests. All right. So this is bringing us that method, authorized gate. All right. So it brings us this ability right here. So what we want to do now is just make sure you bring in use authorized request, and then we can just do it like this. So this authorized, and we can just do that thread policy and delete. And then we just call on this thread. Let me pass it through as a variable. All right, just to stay consistent with what we do. All right, so we put in to make sure the person is authorized to actually delete this thread, and then we delete the thread and we flash the session and stuff like that. All right, so let's see if it all works, and keep our fingers crossed, and it actually will delete the post. All right, so this is done. I'll make sure that everything's imported at the top. I like kind of everything looks neat. All right, so let's go to our model right here and actually see if we can delete it and the model pops up and all that kind of stuff. All right, so in our browser, if we refresh, right, you can see we got our edit. So if we go there, we can obviously edit. And if we want now to delete this, so if we click on it, a model should appear, delete thread. Are you sure you want to delete this thread? Now we can say cancel, and the model will disappear because we toggle it. And if we do the delete thread right here, it's supposed to delete it for us. Now, as you can see, it deleted the thread right there. Okay, so it all works. So let's just create a dummy one and test it again. So let's create one quickly. Test, title, just select any category, some tags, some body, just do it like that. So let's just create it quickly. Now, as you can see, the thread is created. So as you can see, the title is there, somebody, and if we delete it again. All right, thread set deleted. All right, so whatever you put it in that success variable will be displayed right here. So if we go back, so if we go in here, so whatever you displayed in this session right here, this right here, will be displayed there. So if you want to put a nicer message, you can do that from here. Okay, so that's it for this lesson, guys. So we were able to delete it, and we bring in the authorization to make sure that we authorize the user to make sure that, hey, can you delete this? Yes or no. We already got the middleware just to make sure. If we go to our index method right here, so if we go in here, we're already checking it here if the user can or not. But we're actually making sure it's a double safety measure to make sure the person is authorized to delete it as well, just as a backup plan. All right, just to make sure that if they get by this, if they can bypass this, then we make sure that they can actually not delete it in here. Another thing, I wanted to show you this as well because I forgot to show it to you. So in your Livewire, can they delete it? We need to pass through that thread variable right here. Right, so the thread, we pass it like this, and a key with a thread ID. So this variable that the public variable that we're referencing for the Livewire component, we just want to make we want to make sure that thread is equal to the thread that we're passing through right here. And then we want to set the key as the thread ID like this. Right? I forgot to show you this part, so I'm just showing it to you. Otherwise, if you want to delete the thread, you will not know where the thread is coming from. All right? So this is the thread part right here. All right? So if you like the video, guys, please give it a like. If you don't, please give it a dislike. And yes, positive or negative feedback, always appreciated, but not necessary. But I would like you guys, if you can, if you have any questions, please ask them for me in the comment section. I'll try and respond to it to the best of my ability. If I cannot find the solution or answer for you, I will let you know as well. All right. Thank you guys, and see you in the next one.